Hello and welcome to the Art of Healthy Retirement. And I'm so excited that you are listening either live or the recorded version. And my name is Nancy Schwartz, and we have created a podcast that's twofold in our goals to support business experts who are transforming from a career to healthy retirement, or business experts who have retired. And the format is 30 minutes, and it will be posted to my YouTube channel, Nancy Schwartz. And what I love about this podcast is that the interview focuses on how our guests are living or will be living their ideal retirement with health. And no interview is the same, and that's the joy of this discussion. And we are disrupting the way you think about healthy retirement in real time. And each podcast is educational in content and offers inspiration to others by showcasing the guests living life on their own terms. So I'm so excited today to bring you a wonderful example, a living example of exactly what we're talking about. Chris Shea, who is an independent financial advisor, and he has worked in the industry for approximately 15 years, the last 5 working for himself. And Chris is unusual as a financial advisor in that he offers an alternative perspective, which he and I really bonded over. He's created a wonderful program called Fit to Retire, and it is a program to really help people beyond and in addition to their financial readiness and terms and wealth creation. And Chris feels that it's so important to think not only about the wealth creation, but also about health and nutrition, self-identity, which we both talked about is a huge component of this. And I want to get Chris's perspective from how he sees his clients, and certainly the social and personal relationships. So his program is very simple. There is a survey, which I'm going to point you to in our little notes of the show, and is free of charge. And then I encourage you to tune up Chris so that he can help you as you have special needs, because everyone today who is retiring is unique. So welcome, Chris, and thank you so much for taking time out of your very, very busy day. And it's the holidays that we're taping this right now. So welcome, and tell me, I'm very curious, how in the world did you ever get into the wealth management business? I'm curious about that.
Well, first of all, thank you, Nancy, for having me. Happy to be here. I love talking to people about changing the conversation around retirement and what it actually means to retire. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But how did I become a wealth manager?
Yeah.
Dumb luck. Absolutely no plans on doing it. It was not on my radar of things I wanted to do. I actually, in 2003, was offered a job at UBS, Payne Weber, to be a stockbroker when I was living in New Orleans. And I went out to LA instead for a summer because I had like 2 months in between jobs or whatever. And I went and hung out at a friend's house in Manhattan Beach and never returned to New Orleans, and said, I don't want to do cold calling. I don't want to be on the phone 24/7, just selling people stock purchases, because that's what it was back then. It was literally, I want to buy some stock. Hi, I want to buy some stock. That just didn't seem like something I wanted to do. So I got into project management and product management at DirecTV. Got let go from there. Started doing project management for a financial services company where we implemented a technology for trading and rebalancing portfolios. And I realized that I hated project management, and I was really good at this. The company needed somebody to roll it out to all their financial advisors. There were 5,000 plus at the time across the country. And I got the job. And I got the opportunity to talk to all these financial advisors, figure out what they're going to do, how they're doing it, learn from them, educated them on best practices in the industry and what I knew. And then moved out of that company, moved to Massachusetts from Southern California, and decided to get a divorce. And at the time of the divorce process, I was working at Accenture as a consultant for top 10 banks in the world on their practice management, and decided that I could either be a dad to my then 7-year-old daughter or a jet setting consultant. You can't be both as
No,
a
we
single
can't.
parent. And I chose my daughter and looked
Good for
around and said,
you.
thank you. What can I do that gives me schedule flexibility around taking care of her? Do what I've been teaching people to do for the last 8 or 9 years. So I kind of just fell into it.
That's really great. I love that. So how are your clients teaching you? What are you learning from your clients in 2023? I'm really interested in that, because your approach is very, very different than, say, the large global banks, of which you were a part of for a moment or two, and yet also very different from a standalone shop, right? There's a lot of standalone shops as well. So tell me, one, what are your clients' expectations when they come to meet you, and then what are you learning from them? Where's the educational gap that we could help support your future clients and my future clients through this podcast?
I'd say what I learned most from my clients is that I have no idea what anybody really likes to do in their lives until I actually talk to them.
Right.
Right? People live in these houses, they have cars, they have clothes, they look a certain way. And then when you finally have a real conversation with them, you're like, oh, you like that? Oh, you're interested in that? Oh, you look like the typical grandma, yet you like to go on motorcycle rides every weekend, right?
Right.
like you never know what people are gonna want,
Right.
and they want to learn how they live their lives, and you never know that until you actually ask them. And ironically enough, usually people have no idea what they want to do the first time you ask them that,
Mhm.
because they haven't thought about it, right? I talk to people about this all the time, and I tell people, again, I've got a 13-year-old daughter, and she's taught at a young age how to go to school. When she's in school, she's taught how to get good grades. She's getting straight A's in her classes, so she's doing something right there.
Congratulations. That's very exciting.
She's being taught how to get good grades so she can get into good classes in high school, so she can get into the college that she wants to. When she goes into college, she's going to be taught how to get good grades again so she can get a career. When you get your first job, you're taught how to advance in that career. When you advance in that career, you're taught how to do the next role and the next role and the next role. Nobody has ever taught anyone how to retire. Usually it's, hey, congratulations, go play golf or go hang out with the grandkids or whatever, the joke is in the office about what you're going to do with your free time, because people think that they know. And the reality is that people, and I have a lot of current people that I know that are struggling with, they don't want to work as much as they do, but they can't figure out what to do with their time. So instead of retiring, they're continuing to work because they can't think of anything better to do. And that's kind of the reality of it. Nobody teaches you how to retire. So what I try and do through the Fit to Retire program is through a very simple questionnaire. It takes people 5 to 10 minutes. Ask them about their preparedness and their readiness to retire in 5 areas: self-identity, social, health, nutrition, personal relationships. And the money just pays for it all.
Yeah.
Because, and again, you had a career, right? And we're in the holiday season at the time of this recording. When you think about going to a holiday party, what's one of the first questions you ask someone when you meet them for the first time?
What do you do?
What do you do? Why? Because you put somebody in a box. You get an understanding of who they are. And
Yeah.
maybe even more importantly, the person's perception of themselves is wrapped up in their identity around their work. All right.
Yeah.
I have a clients and the husband, they're both retired. They have a fantastic life. They live on a boat. They travel from Key West up to Boston and everywhere in between. But when you ask him, who he is, he's an engineer who just happens to be retired. Because he can't let go of that. I'm an engineer. That's his identity, as opposed to this guy who's now sailing around the world and doing whatever he wants and loving life, right? He still thinks of himself as an engineer 3 years after he retired.
Right. Well, I think you bring up some really, really good points. So I think your first point is there's no education around retirement. And that's what I saw. And that's where you and I clicked, because I look for, okay, tell me how. I want my dad's retirement, right? There is no how.
Why do you want
Because
before that, why do you want your dad's retirement?
Because it was so elegant and I was really struggling. So that's what I perceived. And then when I got into it, I realized, oh no, I don't, because that retirement doesn't exist anymore. And that I needed to define it myself. But I had really wished that the houses that I talked to could have shared that with me, right? It was really dominated on, we need to do this, this, and this, and this in your portfolio. The other thing that's really coming out in terms of now is that retirement, yes, can be very much leisure time and such beautiful things as the boating community, which I'm really a part of. I love the boating community, and anybody who's ever been part of that, the people are just really amazing people that gravitate to that, be it active sailing, around the world, or in funding sailing races, or simply leisure boating, right? So there's so many different dynamics to that. But also there's an opportunity to really have a hybrid career. So that's something that I've defined for myself. And it's so interesting with your engineer client, still defining this, the inability for people to let go. So I think that what I want to point out to people, and that's a huge thing that you just said, is that this person probably is, I don't know, I'm guessing, in mid 50s, mid 60s, but this is something that for 50 plus years, let's just call it, this person has lived with that. So letting the word engineer go is trauma, really, because this almost the way you have lived the integrity of the life, his career and the family's career and all of the around. So that's what's so interesting, is that we define ourselves by labels. And I think that from a psychological point of view and from an emotional well-being point of view, and I want you to speak to this, and a mental wellness point of view, is to find other labels in how this amazingly brilliant individual, I'm sure there's a gazillion of them, that he could really upgrade his software, meaning the neuroplasticity of his brain. And as I teach, and as I told you, really expand his mind. He's more than an engineer. I'm sure of it, right?
Yeah, and so I do presentations for the Alzheimer's Association. And so I've got the perspective of being able to talk about people in decline, right? And there are studies out there that show that if you have your self-identity wrapped up in, I used to be an X, I used to be a Y.
The past version, yes.
That makes you less now. Which, again, you worked for 40 years, 40, 50 years in some cases, to get to this wonderful thing called retirement, where and by the way, retirement, I want to set a definition right now. My retirement definition is being able to do what you want, when you want, with no concern for how much money you make.
Mhm.
If you're doing that, you can consider yourself retired. So, but if you get to that point and you still think of yourself as you used to be something,
Mhm.
you're diminishing your self-worth today, which will add to cognitive challenges,
Mhm.
will increase the rate by which you cognitively decline. It will negatively impact your health. It will negatively impact your relationships with others because you're like, I used to be this, no, I'm nothing, or less than, right? Which
Mhm.
is a big thing. There's nothing good about I used to be X. You've got to
Exactly.
figure out what that next thing is, even if it's just, and I say just, right? Because some people might not think this is a wonderful thing. A volunteer at the local library or someone who has a second job. I've got a cousin, he worked for the parks, the national parks,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
thing after he retired as a teacher. He loved it. He drove a bus around town and gave people tours of his town. Like he loved it. And finally, he got to the point where he couldn't do it for various reasons, and now he's done with that. But he always talks about the past,
Yeah.
and
Well,
but there's got to be something that
that's
goes
the,
forward.
yeah, right. Exactly to your point. The people who talk about the past live in the past. However, the world keeps moving forward. And this is the tragedy that you're talking about in terms of, and it's all scientifically backed by multiple studies, by multiple countries around the world, that
We're
people
not
that,
making this up.
oh, no. But that's why I'm trying to emphasize it, that it is a scientific fact that the cognitive decline, because that person becomes less curious about living, and also the physical decline. So when you have one or the other or both,
Both is
that
worse.
is really challenging. And I can tell you that from personal experience. I had a power of attorney, and it was shocking to me how a Harvard educated, incredible human being could think things that they thought. I was just stunned by it. She had all the professional advisors around her. I mean, she had hired an excellent team because I was the one, and yet her mindset, that was educated at some of the top institutions in this world. And she was also an artist outside of her career. So she's creative. So usually creatives are very, passionate people. And yet this was a fact. And I saw it day over day over day. It's just tragic to watch. And I think that that's why it's so important for those listening to hear Chris and his examples of how his clients are presenting, and to hear from my point of view how my experiences and perhaps my interchange with my clients, we have similar stories, different clients. And so this is what's presenting in the marketplace. And that's really important to recognize and then to address in a program such as yourself.
I mean, one of my best client, favorite, not my best client, one of my favorite clients. He's a gentleman who retired. I told him he had a 99% chance of being successful with his finances. He needed to spend more money in retirement. He looked at me like I had 7 heads. He's like, I'm going to a financial advisor to tell me to spend more money. What? I'm like, yes, based upon your circumstances, yes. He has been volunteering for years before retirement happened with the Boy Scouts of America as a leadership person there. And he continues to do that through after he retired. He has something he gets up and looks forward to going and doing.
Yeah.
Even in this process, he got diagnosed with cancer, which for a lot of people would be the death knell right there. But he's like, nope, we're gonna figure this out because I've got more stuff to do around scouts, and I've got this to do and that to do and all this stuff to do. And it was like, when I first talked to him about his disease, I was nervous, and then after talking to him for 5 minutes, I was like, oh, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like and the treatments are going well, so there's no issues around that. But mentally, he was attacking it. He wasn't like, this is the end of my life. He was the other way, and I was like, oh, I got nothing to worry about here. Like, he's gonna be fine. We're
Well,
good.
it's the willingness to take action on your own life. And this is a
Yeah.
perfect living human who is doing just so. And there's so many of those people out there. And so I don't want to say that, retirement is getting disease and dying. That's not what we're saying. We're saying here's an extraordinary example of someone who truly is passionate about their volunteer and also passionate about contributing as a mentor and a leader in not only this entity, but probably other entities that he doesn't probably mention to you, but he's really actively involved.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say it's extraordinary. I would just say it's a mental way in which you forge forward in life. It's not, he's not extraordinary in any other way than he said, I got two choices. And I don't know if you saw the movie Shawshank Redemption, but it's one of my favorite. Get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah.
All right. And that's kind of the thing with retirement is people are like, oh, I get retired and I get to do nothing. If you do nothing, 3 to 5 years, you're going to be gone because you're going to deteriorate. You've got to find something that makes you excited about life.
Right. Fills your heart, fills your purpose, changes your identity, and supports your health and happiness and your social connections and relationships, etc. Absolutely.
Gets you out interacting with other human beings because
the connections. Yeah.
Remember the pandemic, being in the house, like people died of what I called COVIDitis because they were alone. They didn't get COVID, but COVID was what did them in. It happened for my mom.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very personal for me to help people see that you've got to look at retirement, like I said, doing what you want, when you want, with no concern for how much money you make. And if you can do that and do things around it, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
If you sit around the couch and watch Netflix or Disney Plus or YouTube TV or, whatever you want to, that 7-8 hours a day, deterioration is going to come fast and you're not going to enjoy that wonderful retirement that you spent 30 or 40 or 50 years working towards.
Building towards, right? They're building towards that. Yes, absolutely.
You have this dream of retirement, whatever that means for you. And if you don't embrace it and go for it, you're going to waste it.
Right. Tell us, in the short time that we have left, tell us, what are you looking at for 2024 in terms of your clients? And are there any changes on the horizon that you are seeing present quickly?
I think it's probably not going to be I think the economy is not going to do as well as people would hope. Which means it's going to be a hold on year.
Yeah.
Right. For my clients that are still moving towards that retirement stage, I'm telling them to put more money away. It's a chance to buy on the dip and the discount. For clients that are retired, it's hold on and let's see if we don't have to take money out of your accounts. Take it out as little as possible so that when it does bounce back in in a year plus 2025 and beyond, you're in a place to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But don't expect things to be fantastic and rosy, and you'll be okay. It's gonna, the world doesn't go up straight. It goes up and down. Your money goes up and down. Things are not always perfect. And one of the things that my clients, I haven't lost any clients since the pandemic started, because all of them, I educate them on what investing is, and it's not looking at returns every day. It's, as boring as watching the grass grow. And focusing
and
on
also having the lifestyle to support that long-term investment strategy that, if I'm listening correctly, that you're providing for your clients. So
figure out what your spending patterns are. Figure out what a need and a want are.
Mhm.
right? I need a car. I want a Mercedes convertible that I can't afford right now. I'm going to buy a, you know, Toyota or a Kia or whatever. Like, need want, figure that out. And if you can afford the want, by all means, do it.
Yeah.
Live your life. But if you can't, don't live the Facebook, Instagram life. Live the
Yeah.
life that's going to make
Be
you
the
happy.
real life. Be a real life. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Well, I think that's a beautiful ending, Chris. Really live your life, right? That's what you're
Yep.
saying.
Yeah.
And we've had Charlie Munger recently pass away, and he would say to you, Chris, that he practiced that. He didn't move houses. He was very frugal with his money, even though his lifestyle was such that he could certainly afford. But he was
Whatever you wanted.
engaged, so engaged in life and building relationships and his health and all of the practicalities of the day-to-day living that you're talking about. So we are thrilled that you had an opportunity to come on and were available during the holidays. What would be one sage advice that you would give the listening audience? And then please tell us where and how to find you so people can reach out to you directly.
Well, I do consulting work for business owners as well. And, I tell them all the time, figure out what you do best and let others do the rest.
Mhm.
And I think that pertains to people in their personal lives as well. Figure out what you do and find people to help you what you're not as good at. Right? Not everyone's great with personal finances. Ask for help. Not everybody's good at finding their own path. Find somebody that can help you and coach you to find out what you want, because I'm a guy. We're not the most self-reflective people. Sometimes we need someone to nudge us and push us. Don't be afraid of opening up. You'll find wonderful things when you get there. In terms of finding me, you can find me Chris Shea. I have a YouTube page. It is financial literacy class, Chris Shea. I'm on LinkedIn. You can also find me at fittoretire.com/Chris-Shea. That's SHEA. If you want to go and take the assessment. And you can also call me on my cell phone at 781-733-5996. That's my work number and my cell phone. So if I'm not answering, it's because I'm busy doing something else, maybe hanging out with my 13-year-old daughter or something, being on the ocean in the summertime.
Sounds good. Well, we will all reach out as appropriate. And I just want to thank you so much, and for people to really listen to what we're both talking about, is that the wealth creation is certainly very, very important in retirement, but equally, if not more so, are the lifestyle and the way you live your life, and to be very curious and to really embrace that you have this beautiful opportunity to really expand knowledge, health, and wealth in the retirement years, and to really take the the bull by the horn, definitely, and just ride it as far as you can. And we're living longer too. We didn't even talk about that yet, but the longevity factor is also even more so critical than, I believe, the wealth piece in as it impacts the whole body system. So so happy. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, money is one of these esoteric things. Money is just the ability to buy your current and future needs, wants, wishes, and desires. And most of that's emotional stuff. So money is just a way to get what you want in life. Money should not be the goal. Your life should be the goal.
Yes. And with that, we're going to say thank you so much for listening to us. I am Nancy Schwartz, and I'm a founder of the Art of Healthy Retirement. I'm with Chris Shea, and I thank you so much, Chris, and wishing everybody an awesome holiday. Even though this will come out later, we're still wishing everybody an awesome holiday. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.